money moves for you. This one's going to be geared towards you small business owners, medium business owners, but you entrepreneurs out there, you're going to want to listen up because we're going to talk about something today. What are the initials, Wendy?
BOI?
BOI, that's right. The Transparency Act is in effect as of January 1, and we're going to talk about what that means to you and what it could mean to you if you don't file your report. I'm talking $500 a day. All right, let's have this conversation. Grab a pen and paper, and we're going to get started in just a few seconds. So let's talk about it. So we're going to talk about the Transparency Act. And this is something that I've talked to small business owners that have had businesses for a while. And I think newer companies this year are more aware of it. But a lot of people that have businesses in existence have no clue about this thing. Or they maybe heard about it, but they don't know what it is and doesn't really apply to me. So January 1st of 2024, the corporate Transparency Act went live. And what that means is FINCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, you know, the financial crime fighters out there, they have a report that every company, not every, there are some exemptions, which we'll talk about, is required to complete. And basically, it's the beneficial ownership information report. They want to get all up in your business and know who owns what in that company. Have you heard of this, Wendy?
Not until you told me and asked me if I had filed it. So I'm like, let's fingers crossed that my bookkeeper handled it.
Well, and that's exactly right. It's like, I don't know, you know.
Well, it's amazing to me they can put these things out there and like what they just post it on a website and you got to do, you know what I mean? It's like, how do people figure this stuff out? And that's why we're here, I guess, right?
Well, and that's the thing, right? That's why we're doing what we do. And hopefully you're right. People have good bookkeepers or whatever that are staying on top of this stuff. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, especially when you start looking at people who are 1099 and maybe they file an LLC, something like that, right? I know coming from your world, I mean, that's a relatively common practice, right? From the network marketing world.
Yeah, so many people set up their LLCs, you know, using, what is it, LegalZoom, you know, and their own taxes and, you know, there's, or pay somebody local to do their taxes that doesn't really know a ton about the network marketing industry and there's so many ways, so many people that would fall right through the cracks. And so,
well, and that's the thing. So, you know, and the other thing is it's a little bit confusing. I don't like it because I'm not, you know, my whole thing is, why does the government need to know about this? Right. In my opinion, this is another intrusion on your privacy. Okay, well, you have an LLC, you know, or a small company, small corporation. We want to know who owns what and what percentages and this, that, other. You might be a silent partner in a business and it's like, I just want to invest and make money on it quietly. Well, now you've got to be disclosed. And that way the government, you know, again, their whole thing is they're trying to protect Americans from money laundering with shell companies. Yeah. Whatever. That may be part of it, but I can tell you right now, they want to know who knows what so they can start crossing the numbers and making sure that they're getting their tax revenue. That's exactly what's going on. But you know, as of right now, it's the law of the land, maybe, right? Which we'll talk about that in just a minute. But the law works, you know, the Transparency Act, it went live January 1st. So any company that forms between January 1st or after January 1st of 2024, excuse me, has 90 days to file their BOI report, right, with FINCEN. Okay. And if, you know, we'll have some links down below if you wanted to look at filing or whatever. If you do not file in that 90 days, guess what can happen? Bad things.
Right? Fine you.
Yeah. And it's not like a little fine. It's not like a slap on the wrist. It's like up to $500 a day. A day. I mean, that's crazy.
It
So they
is.
really want that information. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Like, well, shouldn't they have to send you like a letter? Like I set up a new LLC this year, and maybe my bookkeeper did it, and that's why I didn't. But I haven't gotten any letter that says, "Hey, you got to do this by this time, or you get fined."
They posted it on their website, so I guess that's good enough. I didn't get any letters either, and I've got an LLC I've had for a while, right? And got nothing. Now, I was made aware of it by my accountant at the end of the year. He's like, "Hey, don't forget." Now, if you have a company before that was formed before January 1 of 2024, you still have to file that report. However, they're giving you a year to comply with that. So they're giving you through, midnight December 31st, 2024 to complete your report. But before you rush out and do that, do your homework. The state of Alabama challenged the law. Some business owners in the state of Alabama, they're like, why do they need to have this information? This is none of their business. Why do they need this? And a judge actually struck it down as unconstitutional. So unfortunately, if you formed a new company this year, you've got 90 days to make it happen, and they can fine you. So I don't know that. And again, we're not attorneys. Talk to your own attorney, right? There's a little disclosure. But I would definitely be asking somebody, do I file this? And if you don't have an issue with it, I would go ahead and file it. But I can tell you right now, for my own company that was formed previous to January 1, 2024, I'll definitely be waiting till the last minute because I want to see what shakes out. Yeah. Right. So that's some big stuff, but I don't get it. I mean, what are your thoughts on why they want it?
Well, I mean, I looked at the website and I saw that it's to help prevent money laundering, but I don't know. Is there that? I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Is there that much money laundering in all these companies? Maybe, but I think.
Well, I
think. Go ahead.
I think the definition of money laundering is money hiding to the government. I think it all boils down to tax dollars. I mean, you look at, that may be part of it, the money laundering, and that's righteous cause, whatever, and that's great because that money can be used or gained from illegal activities. But I think a large driver behind this, which they're not talking about, is they want to see everything that's going on so they can get their tax money. Exactly. That's what I think.
Well, yeah, that's the end motivator because of all the other stuff they let happen in our country. If they were really worried about money laundering, I mean, I could go political, I won't, but there's other things they can do. Yeah, so I think it comes down to more money in the government's pocket.
That's right. That's right. So there are some companies, as I mentioned, that are exempt, right? And this is not an end-all, do-all list. Again, you need to check, if you're listening to this as a viewer, you need to check with your bookkeeper, your accountant, or your attorney and find out, am I one of these exempt companies? But just to give you kind of a little list, there's 23 of them. And you look at, of course, government authorities is on there. They don't have to file anything, right? Take care of your own. Securities reporting issuers, banks and credit unions are exempt. So if you're a bank or a credit union, you don't have to worry about it. Depository institution holding companies. And that's basically, another type of depository company, like, that fall under the banking laws. So they're taking care of the banks, money services businesses. And I'm not sure if that means like the check cashing places or stuff like that, but fall along those brokers or dealers in securities, people doing your IRAs, things like that. Again, the industry, securities exchange or clearing agency tied to financial stuff. Other Exchange Act registries, investment companies or investment advisors. So your financial advisor, I'm assuming that means like your Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, venture capital funding advisor, insurance companies, state licensed insurance producers. They're not required to. Commodities and exchange, accounting firms, public utilities, financial market, pooled investment vehicles, tax exempt entities. So I'm assuming that means your like your nonprofits, things like that. And then large operating company, whatever that means, right? So if you're a large company, you don't have to worry about it. Subsidiary or certain exempt entities of certain exempt entities. So if you've got a subsidiary and your parent company is exempt, you're exempt too. And then obviously inactive entities, if they never were formally shut down. But to me, that list seems like a lot of people in the money industry are exempt.
Yeah.
And the whole focus on this is quote unquote, we're going to go get money laundering.
Yeah.
But a lot of those companies fall into that money category and they're exempt from reporting it. So I'm just curious what your thoughts on that are.
Well, when it comes to the banks and credit unions and all that, they're protecting their own systems, right? We got to think of rights laws and what are they involved in? All their businesses that they're involved in, but they make exempt.
Well, and to be fair, the banking system does fall under a lot of scrutiny from other organizations, and they do a lot of reporting already with FinCEN and things like that. So that could be part of it. But a lot of the others, especially, having worked in the insurance industry and things like that, I know there's a lot of opportunity in that industry. Does a lot of education around money laundering, anti-money laundering, how to identify it and, minimize it and things like that. So I'm curious why they're exempt. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's great. I think everybody should be exempt. But it's just, I don't know that the reason they're stating necessarily lines up. But the bottom line is right now that BOI is the law of the land and you need to file it. And if you've got a new company, a new LLC or a new organization that doesn't fall under one of those exempt organizations, you need to have that report filed, even if you're just, John Doe, solopreneur, or Susie Smith, I just started my network marketing agency and I'm going to do an LLC. You need to file that report, because if you don't, it can result in some serious blowback for you financially. I mean, $500 a day, that can add up quick. And once you're on the government's radar, you're kind of on there, right? But the question is, okay, how do I file it? We're going to put the link. It's basically at the FinCEN website. There's a little link. It's BOE or BOI filing. Just click it and then fill in your information. It doesn't take that long. But again, it's critical that you do file it. Not giving any recommendations, but if you have a company that was previous to January 1st, I would wait and see how all this plays out.
Yeah.
You've got until the end of the year. If you're open before January 1, 2024, you've got till the end of the year to get your report filed. But if they're coming back and saying, hey, the different courts and things like that, because this battle is not over by any means. If they come back and say, no, this is unconstitutional, they can't, because there's some argument going on now at much higher levels. But if they come back and say, hey, guess what, it's unconstitutional, well, you've already given that information over, so now it's kind of out there. And if you don't care, no big deal, go ahead and file it, right? But I know a lot of our watchers out there, viewers out there, do care about that stuff. But you also want to make sure that you're abiding by the law of the land. So
Right.
You have until the end of the year to do it. So what are your thoughts on that? Any final thoughts?
No, I don't want to be fined $500 a day. So yeah, I say.
I mean, could you imagine what that would do to your average, network marketer or, network realtor out there? Because realtors are all 1099 too. And a lot of them do the LLC thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would say for a lot of them, good luck getting it because they don't have it. They're not going to have it to pay.
They'll get it. They'll get it. It's coming, it's the government. They'll get their money, right? But again, just be aware of it. It's important. You need to make sure you're on top of it as a business owner. It's not just all smile and meeting clients. You've got to make sure you're handling the back office too, or at least working with a team, to have a team around you. We did a video a while back called Your Money Team, where we talk about that, who you should have around you as part of your team. So I would go and search that video out. You can go to our website at blackswanmoney.com. That's our YouTube channel. Watch the video. And we may need to redo that one and put it out on the podcast too, because I know a lot of people are catching some of the podcasts now. So, but that's it, folks. File your BOI or face the music. FinCEN wants to know what's going on in your world. So we'll put the link below. But do us a favor if you would, help us out with those algorithms. Give us a like down below. Share this on your social media, and we'd love to hear your feedback. If you filed your BOI, if you've got an opinion about your BOI and want to share it with us, please post that. We'd love to hear that. So with that, Wendy, I'm going to wish you farewell, and we will see you next Tuesday for another Money Moves, folks. Have a great week.